Feeling great. Performance was good. I got bonus. So happy. But my goal is a title fight. No, I mean Charles Oliveira couldn't submit me. How then Hooker can submit me?
Tonight, Arman was fantastic. On the feet, he cracked him, he connected with knees, kicks, he butchered up his calf. I mean, everything that he was throwing was landing with authority.
But Arman was cracking him on the feet with big punches early. I think he landed a good two-piece combo on Dan Hooker, and then he kneed him.
Arman delivered pure violence in UFC QATAR, crushing Dan Hooker and sealing the night with a ruthless submission. To start off, Arman Tsarukyan highlighted his recent fight experience after taking a significant break from fighting. He admitted the first round felt dangerous, but he quickly gained confidence in the second round, knowing he was destined to win. Arman said, "I got to rewatch the fight because I haven't fought in a long time, and the first round was a little bit dangerous. But in the second round, I already felt it's my thing. And I'm a winner here, I have to win, and I was super confident. And I knew that when I took him down, I would smash it."
I gotta rewatch the fight because I haven't fought long time, and a little bit first round was a little bit dangerous, but second round I already felt it's my thing, and I'm a winner here. I gotta get victory, and I was super confident, and I knew like when I take him down, I smash with my elbows and maul him there and choke him.
Building on that, Arman describes his skills as a fighter and compares himself to his opponent. He firmly states that he possesses a higher skill level as compared to Hooker. He highlighted himself as a complete fighter. Arman said, "You can watch my fights to see that I'm a well-rounded fighter. I can strike, I can wrestle, I can kick, and my endurance is good. I'm explosive, confident, and young. I'm better than him. Maybe his hands are not faster but powerful, but I'm not going to stay at that distance. I'm smart."
I mean, you can watch my fights and to see like I'm a well-rounded fighter. I can strike, I can wrestle, I can kick, and my endurance is good. My condition, I'm explosive, confident, young. I don't know. I can like go so much things. I'm better than him.
Additionally, Arman expressed his satisfaction with his recent performance by an immediate demand for a title shot. He stressed that his ultimate goal is the title fight, and he came to the event specifically to prove he's the real #1 contender.
Feeling great. Performance was good. I got bonus. So happy. But my goal is a title fight. That's why for this year job is done, but I'm focused for the title, and I came here just to show everybody that I'm real contender #1, and I want to fight for the title, and I have to fight for the title. I just said, this is a game business, just it's a fighting, but I don't have anything personal to you, and you're the man, you're only guy who fought with me, and if you didn't take this fight, I wasn't be here, and thank you. It's really just one guy who wanted to fight me. It was a Hooker that I want to say thank you him, because I got that experience, money, everything, attention, and everybody is. Who's that?
Moreover, Arman stated that he's perfectly healthy and is fully prepared to take the title fight right now, and he said he just needs 1 week to relax, then he's flying out to the US, where 2 months is plenty of time to get his camp in order. He's really putting pressure on the UFC to announce the Topuria match, and is ready to headline a massive card.
Of course, I can rest 1 week, fly to US and stay there 2 months. It's enough time to get ready, and I didn't get any injured, thank God, and they have to say that, and hopefully on Tuesday they announce that fight, and me fighting main event with Topuria when it's gonna be in Vegas or in Los Angeles. So I'm ready. I gotta take that chance, and I have pretty time to get ready.
Meanwhile, Arman talks about Ilia Topuria's reluctance to face him and his readiness to take on any title rival. He used Topuria's own remarks about possibly giving up the title instead of competing against him, implying that the champion needs to give up the crown if he declines the offer.
Yeah, he said if you're gonna give me Arman, I'm gonna leave this title. So he should leave that title and give me anybody. I'm not gonna looking for easy fights. I can fight with anybody, and UFC knows I'm like open to anybody, and I don't know. He's trying to not call my name. He knows that the number one and the real fighter, it's me.
In the same vein, Arman expressed extreme confidence in his defense, dismissing Dan Hooker's submission attempts by noting that even Charles Oliveira couldn't submit him. He felt Hooker was simply spending energy and that the chokes posed no threat. When asked about a high-profile non-title opponent, Arman quickly named Islam Makhachev.
Since even you give your, yeah, you can like go, but with me, probably better to defend the legs. Or you can defend your leg, or you gotta go for submission. So, but I didn't feel anything.
And to speak about the future, if there was no belt on the line between you and Ilia Topuria, which fight excites you beside the title shot, Ilia Topuria or take the revenge against Islam?
Islam.
At the same time, Michael Bisping gives his review of Arman's dominant performances in the main event against Dan Hooker. He mentioned that despite Dan Hooker's hype with his new style and past victory over a mutual opponent, Arman proved to be the superior fighter. Bisping stated that Arman was on another level, absolutely smashing Hooker with strikes.
Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker, tonight's main event, and what was an incredible performance from Arman Tsarukyan. Dan Hooker, I think it's fair to say that everyone loves this guy. He's very entertaining. This new version with the tattoos has put on a lot of muscle. He doesn't care. He's got swag. His dress sense has changed. He's dyed his hair like Eminem. He's talking a lot of shit. He was calling Arman every name under the sun.
Title contender, the guy that beat Ilya, and now he's losing to Dan Hooker, the bloke from New Zealand who's lost a third of his fights.
And I think he convinced a lot of people that he was going to do well. And you know, granted, he has beaten the likes of Mateusz Gamrot that beat Arman Tsarukyan. But tonight, Arman was fantastic. On the feet, he cracked him. He connected with knees, kicks. He butchered up his calf. I mean, everything that he was throwing was landing with authority. Then he took him down, almost crucifixed him.
Following that, Bisping discusses Arman's finish of Dan Hooker and the resulting logjam at the top of the lightweight division. He summarized that at the end of the fight, Arman completely dominated Hooker on the ground, making the fight miserable for him. He also highlighted the drama surrounding champion Ilia Topuria.
Bought the crap out of him and just made life miserable for Dan Hooker. And then in the second round, it was more of the same. He went out, butchered him up, landed some shots, took him down, and then choked him out. Listen, no disrespect, Dan Hooker's incredible, right? And there's no shame in losing to Arman Tsarukyan. He is kind of like this new generation. He wants to fight Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria was in attendance, but he has been very quiet, and he did say that he would rather vacate the belt than fight Arman Tsarukyan.
I'm the world champion. I'm never gonna give him a chance to fight for title. I will be like, listen, if that's the case, take my belt.
Now, I don't think he was saying that because he's scared. I think he's just saying that to wind Arman up. But if you're a casual fan or you don't understand the mind games, you might think that Ilya's scared. But Ilia does need to come out and say something, because obviously there's a logjam now at the top.
Moreover, Bisping focused on the controversy over who actually deserves the next lightweight title shot by naming Arman Tsarukyan, Paddy Pimblett, and Justin Gaethje. Beyond the title talk, Bisping wrapped things up by calling Arman's performance unbelievable and gave high praise to the whole fight night.
Arman, who's rightfully the number one contender, who on meritocracy should get the shot. Then there's Paddy Pimblett, who through popularity might get the shot. And there's Justin Gaethje out there who's digging his heels in and saying, hey, I deserve a title shot. What the hell's going on? So who gets it? You let me know in the comment section. But Arman Tsarukyan was phenomenal tonight. As was the whole experience, the whole fight night. Ilia Topuria's little brother, Alexandra Topuria, or is he older? I don't know. He's definitely little because he's a bantamweight. He was on the fight card. He got a good win over, let me just look it up. He got a good win over Beksat Almakhan. Abdul Razak Yakyaev defeated Rafael Cerqueira. Did that in 33 seconds.
Likewise, Josh Thompson focused on Arman Tsarukyan's physical strength and impressive athleticism against Dan Hooker. He noted that while Hooker looked huge, Arman's dense build and wrestling ability were superior. Thompson emphasizes the fight goes pretty much exactly how everyone thought it would.
Look, Arman Tsarukyan, Dan Hooker, it kind of went exactly how we thought it would go. Dan doing what he does. Dan, I didn't realize, and I knew Dan was always a tall guy, but man, he's enormous. He looks huge. Standing next to Arman Tsarukyan. Arman's shorter stature, but thicker, short, thick legs, thick back. You can see great wrestling. It just ended up being one of those fights where Dan had no answer for when he hit the ground. I loved how he was chasing the guillotine. If you know you're going to get taken down, threaten the submission, maybe it opens up a scramble. That wasn't the case in this situation. but you could tell they were kind of tight. Arman didn't waste any time. But man, talk about the sheer athleticism to literally spin all the way around 360 back into somebody's guard to get out of that guillotine. He was like, I'm going to abandon ship right now. And he was on his side, on his hip. He just spun all the way around with the guillotine on.
Continuing on, Thompson emphasized Arman Tsarukyan's dominant wrestling and athleticism. He emphasized that Tsarukyan has amazing physical ability and balance that people often overlook, especially his powerful wrestling, which even top fighters like Gamrot and Islam struggled against.
Athleticism he has, the balance. If you guys go back and watch some of his fights, he doesn't get enough respect for his straight athleticism. His fight with Gamrot, his fight with Islam when he first came into the UFC, his ability to scramble, his ability to balance on one foot to avoid takedowns was absolutely insane. And just what he was able to do tonight to Dan Hooker. I don't want to say I feel bad for Dan Hooker because this is what we signed up for. But Dan Hooker to me I'm always going to be a fan. A guy that can do what he does and come out there and just, he's stuck having to fight the best wrestlers at the top. And so that's very unfortunate for him because I think it'll avoid him from ever trying to be or ever being able to be champion. But I think that no matter what, I've always enjoyed watching him fight. You know you're going to get the best out of him. You know he's going to try to lay it all on the line. Just in this situation, not many people have been able to stop Arman Tsarukyan's wrestling. Not Gamrot. Gamrot got taken down several times. Not Islam. Islam got taken down a couple times. Like he's able to wrestle with the best of them in the division.
In addition, Thompson strongly implied that Ilia Topuria might be trying to run from the Arman Tsarukyan fight and the difficult wrestling challenge it presents. Thompson concluded that Topuria will likely be forced to defend his belt at least once before he can pursue other potential matchups.
After all the things he said about Islam jumping to get away from him, does he jump to get away from Arman Tsarukyan to avoid the wrestling fighter? It's just a question to be had. I mean, look, you guys can drop some stuff down in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. But it definitely is something that, do we start calling him the duck? Do we start saying that he's ducking him? I mean, we did it to John Jones when he did it to Tom Aspinall. They did it to Islam when he did it when he wouldn't fight Ilia. Should we start doing it now for Ilia because he's not going to fight Arman? I think he will be forced to defend the title one time. I don't know if that'll put him in a position to be fighting on the White House card, or I don't know if that'll put him in a position to fight on International Fight Week, whatever it is. But he's got to, I think, get one win in the lightweight division, defending his title outside of, the Charles Oliveira fight where he won the title.
Similarly, the MMA guru summarizes Arman's strong submission win over Dan Hooker. He highlighted Arman's immense grappling strength and his reputation for physically dominating opponents on the ground. Guru praised Arman's exceptional ability to land takedowns and ultimately secure the victory.
This is Dan Hooker. I had Arman Tsarukyan to finish in round 2 by TKO. He actually got a submission instead with an arm triangle, a real bully submission. He's so strong, man. Arman's so strong in the grappling, and he beats people up on the ground. This guy ain't boring. This guy ain't Makhachev JDM-ing someone or Chimaev Duplessing someone. This guy's fucking beating people up on the ground. And in round 1, listen, Dan Hooker had a couple of moments where you thought, hang on a second here. He nearly had a couple submissions over Arman Tsarukyan with the guillotine twice in round 1. But Arman's very good at escaping those. I don't know if there's a better gator roller in the sport than Arman Tsarukyan because he constantly seems to escape those submissions. And yeah, really good job spinning out of things, ending up on top, getting takedowns over Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker stuffed the early takedowns. Both guys ended up landing some good shots on each other. But Arman was cracking him on the feet with big punches.
Building on that, Guru continued his breakdown explaining how Arman Tsarukyan beat up Dan Hooker's face in the first round. Arman was landing big shots, including a powerful knee that, mixed with elbows on the mat, severely puffed up Hooker's eyes and bro ridge.
There was a head clash. There was like 2 head clashes. And I think that really badly swole up Dan Hooker's face. But there was also that big knee to the head from Arman in round 1. When Dan Hooker tried to sort of escape wrist control that looked like a bit of a cage grab, glove grab, sorry. But it's all good. But then he kneed him in the face. Arman kneed him straight in the face, right in the forehead like that. And it really badly swole up Dan Hooker's entire brow ridge above his eyebrows and on his eyebrows. And his eye started swelling up in one of the rounds as well as it went on with the elbows on the ground at the end. Then the eyes started to swell up. Then round 2 came around and I thought, both guys are doing all right on the feet. Both guys are landing some shots. Arman's landing a few more, but Dan Hooker's landing a bunch of kicks to the body.
However, Guru addressed the rapid fan chatter suggesting Ilia Topuria was avoiding Arman Tsarukyan after Arman's flawless victory. While the Guru confirmed Arman's dominant win made the matchup essential, he predicted the UFC would prioritize an Islam Makhachev versus Topuria bout, meaning Tsarukyan would have to wait.
Anyway, you're not either of these. Like, these guys just should be obvious by this flawless performance why Ilia is ducking. Can we get these guys a champ of their own that they can yap this bullshit about? What are they talking about ducking? This guy ain't been in the cage for a year and a half. He just beat Dan Hooker. The fight just ended. They can't book it now. Ilia ducking. Just make Ilia Arman in January. That's probably what they're going to do. But great win from Arman. Amazing ground and pound. 2-arm triangle once he got mount. Amazing submission win from Arman Tsarukyan. I think they should do it. They should definitely make Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. By this performance, it's obvious now why Ilia's ducking him. Nope, unfortunately, he has to wait Islam versus Ilia, then he faces winner. This is what I'm talking about. These fucking bots. I swear to God, man. I know I got cancelled for this and then somehow had way more viewers than ever before on a fight night card. And
on the other hand, Ariel Helwani summarized Arman Tsarukyan's dominant win over Dan Hooker by a second-round arm triangle, highlighting Tsarukyan's excellent physical condition and impressive grappling, which secured the finish after a long layoff due to injury.
It is, of course, headlined by Arman Tsarukyan defeating Dan Hooker. That's what happened in the main event. Second round arm triangle choke. Very dominant first round for Arman Tsarukyan, who looked absolutely shredded, looked to be in phenomenal shape. Would you believe his first fight, his first win in MMA? He did have 3 grappling matches this year. His first win in MMA since UFC 300 in April of 2024. Of course, he was supposed to fight for the belt back in January, pulls out weigh-in day due to the injured back. He's been sitting around, has been waiting, has been biding his time. Now he finally gets this opportunity, third to last show of the year. He thanks Dan Hooker for agreeing to fight him. He almost does the unthinkable at the ceremonial weigh-ins. He headbutts Hooker, everything's okay. Back and forth they went. Great first round, frenetic pace. Hooker was game, went for a few guillotines, but especially in that second round, the way in which Arman scrambled out of it.
Moreover, Helwani acknowledged that Arman's dominant win makes him the rightful #1 contender. However, Helwani suspects the UFC will likely prioritize the huge commercial appeal of Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett instead, with Tsarukyan waiting to fight the winner next.
In Las Vegas, January 24th, I'm calling it a PLE numbered event. You know, they're going to keep those, title fights on the number of events we suspect. The best way to start this is Ilia versus Paddy. You just had Arman win, look good. He's now the #1 guy. He's waiting in the wings. You bring him out there, and yet you keep this train rolling along. I'm sorry, there is zero momentum towards a Justin Gaethje title fight against Ilia Topuria. And now that Arman did what he did, I think he completely knocked Justin out of the way. There is zero interest, zero momentum. I would sign up for Arman versus Ilia right now. But I think you have Paddy there. You want to strike while the iron is hot. He's ready to go. He hasn't fought since April. It's going to be almost a year since his last fight by the time this January date comes along. Do Ilia versus Paddy. You saw the little run-in. You see the animosity there. Do that in January. Have Arman in the front row. He fights the winner. And now the lightweight division is back.
Likewise, MMA Joey gives a detailed breakdown of Arman Tsarukyan's brutal victory over Dan Hooker, focusing heavily on the damage caused in the first round. Joey stressed that Arman was completely dominant in the first round, both on his feet and on the ground after escaping a guillotine attempt.
Arman wins via second round arm triangle. Man, I knew Arman would finish him, but I didn't think it would be this brutal. And there was a head clash in the first round that the commentary team was acting like it caused all this damage. It did not. And I saw this in real time. Go back and watch my stream. There was a head clash as Arman was kind of rushing forward. He lands big bombs on Dan Hooker. But right before that head clash, there was a entanglement where Arman grabbed the head of Dan Hooker, clinched up with Dan Hooker, and kneed him right in the center of the head and busted him up, had him swelled up. Hooker immediately grimaced, and you seen him backing up, and his head immediately swelled up. You can go see it on the replay. It was not the head clash. Arman smashed him up on the feet in the first round. And then Hooker stuffed a takedown, but then Arman just started tagging him over and over and over again. And then eventually Dan Hooker on the takedown looked for a guillotine of Arman. Arman just was able to scramble out of the guillotine, end up on top in the first round.
Not only that, Joey discusses Dan Hooker's persistent cheating and Arman's dominant decisive finish of the fight. Joey vehemently argued that Hooker repeatedly used his toes in the fence, calling it a disqualification-worthy foul while trying to escape. Despite this and a good submission attempt from Hooker, Arman quickly shut him down.
Hooker cheated over and over and over again with his toes in the fence. I mean, it should have been DQ'd. That's how bad the toes in the fence were. It was egregious over and over and over again, both feet. Probably 10, 12 times Dan Hooker cheated with his toes in the fence, trying to scramble out. But he had a good guillotine attempt, but Arman immediately went to his back and then spun over and ended up on top and ended up in like a north-south and did some good elbows, did some good damage, was on top as Dan Hooker's cheating over and over again. It was 10-9 round for Arman first round. Second round, Arman looks for another takedown. Dan gets another guillotine that looks crazy tight, and he has him in full guard. Arman does like a 360 spin in guard, then proceeds to start bashing Dan Hooker's brains in from guard, and then eventually passes guard, gets the full mount, looks for the arm triangle, finds the arm triangle. Dan Hooker's trying to survive. The arm triangle just locks tighter in, and then Dan Hooker's finally forced to tap.
Ultimately, Joey asserts that Arman Tsarukyan is undeniably the next lightweight title challenger after his commanding performance. He said preventing the Topuria versus Arman fight is wrong, believing the champion avoids Arman because he's a major threat who earned his title shot by beating a top contender.
Damn, man. I mean, I know Dan Hooker isn't the greatest, but he's on a decent streak, and Arman went out there and made him look like he did not even belong in the division. This was a ridiculous beatdown. Dan Hooker maybe landed like a body kick at one point in time. Arman looked nasty on the feet. His grappling looked unbelievable. His submission defense looked unbelievable. If the UFC does not make Topuria versus Arman next, it should be a crime. It should genuinely be a crime. That fight's so damn good, man. I tweeted this out right after Arman won. Now you know why Topuria said he would rather vacate his title than fight Arman. I believe for Topuria, Arman is a resume builder, is a legacy builder. If we see Topuria versus Patty, I really think it's a shame, man. I really think it's a shame. We're going to punish Arman because he had a back injury in January of 2025. He's made weight as the backup once. Now he went out there and smashed the top 5 guy.
Arman's performances and the overwhelming reaction from analysts all point to one truth. He's the undeniable force rising in the division. With his dominance, the pressure now shifts to UFC to make the Topuria showdown happen.